Hi, welcome to EDUC 130, Guiding Behavior. I'm really excited to have you here. It's fun to teach an online class when I know most of the students already from previous classes. That makes it a lot more personal and social. I like that a lot. So I'm excited to have so many of you here in this class. There are actually 50 students enrolled in this class, if you can believe it. I don't know why so many students are enrolled, but a lot of you needed this course. So it's a huge section. What I've done, so you might not ever see that there's actually 50 students in this course. So I've broken you up into two groups. And so when you're having discussions, you'll only see you and 24 other students. And you'll stay in those discussion groups the whole time. So the Canvas system just did that randomly. So if you have a friend that's taking the same class and you're like, I don't see your posts, that's why I've broken it up. That way you don't have to read through so many responses. And the conversations will be a little bit better with 25 students. So anyways, there's a ton of you here. So it's a required course for most of you. I'm hoping, though, it's also a really interesting topic. I will say that even for experienced teachers, classroom management and guiding behavior is a topic that experienced teachers always want more information about, because it can be amongst the most challenging things that teachers do. And you can't do anything else. You can't work on literacy or math or set up great dramatic play areas that kids enjoy well if the children's behavior isn't under control, right? And I imagine those of you who are imagining your work as teachers someday have some sort of anxiety about how will you keep that classroom managed so learning can happen. So we're going to explore that in this class. Something that I've found challenging while developing the class is that I know that you work with a broad age range of students. Some of you are going to work with young kids, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and some of you are thinking that you're going to work in elementary school settings. So I tried to include all of you in this course. But there'll be times where what we're talking about might not feel like it quite applies to the age group you're working with. So that's just is going to happen. But if you need help thinking about your specific age group and how the content we're using applies to the age group you want to work with, send me an email or come see me in my office, and I'm happy to talk to you about it. Because for the most part, I've tried to focus on things that will apply to whatever age children you plan to work with. Okay? So we have two texts for this course. I'm going to show you The Emotional Life of the Toddler. The other text we have is Guiding Children's Behavior. So this one is really focused on toddlers and parents, actually. It's written to parents. But I think it is really applicable to anyone who wants to understand why children do what children do. So those of you who want to work with older kids, when you're reading this one, you're going to have to kind of take a leap and say, they're talking about toddlers and parents, but how does this apply to my classroom of 7-year-olds? And I think if you try, you will find that it does. She talks a lot about temperament. So that is, different kids are different from one another. And she talks a lot about why kids do what they do, because that's going to be the focus in this course. Is that you'll get strategies, but it's not going to be about, this child hits this other child, this is what you're going to do to fix it. The first place is understanding why that child is hitting a child in the first place, right? That you have to understand the why of the behavior, understand who the child is before you can know how to intervene, right? I can't tell you what to do if one 7-year-old hits another 7-year-old. It depends on the kid. It depends on why they hit the other kid. It depends on what was going on in the classroom. Do you have a chaotic classroom? Well, then maybe rather than punishing that one kid for hitting the other kid, then you need to figure out how to get your classroom less chaotic, right? So that's the focus of this course, is what is the root? Why is that behavior occurring, and fixing it at the root level instead of focusing on what consequences we can give for unwanted behavior. This one is more focused on older kids, so maybe 3 to 8-year-olds. This is what this is focused on, and I hope that you find it useful. So we're going to kind of go back and forth between reading each of them. See what else I want to say. Okay, So similar to other classes you've taken with me, if you've taken with me before, we're going to have a reading reflection assignment each week. So I'm going to give you a reading assignment, and you're going to answer questions, and you're going to put them in written form, or you're going to put them in a video or audio form. And that's so that you're doing the reading, you're thinking about the reading, and you're thinking about how you would apply the reading in a real classroom with real kids. Okay? The other component of this course is we're going to have a discussion board each week. And so similar, if you've taken courses with me before, you're going to answer my questions, and then you're going to read what your classmates have written, and you're going to post 2 more times in each discussion board. So you'll post a total of 3 times on each discussion board by the due date in order to receive full credit. So both the reading assignments and the discussion boards need to be turned in on time to get full credit. Okay? In quarters past, they've been a little lenient about that because you're kind of getting used to my teaching style. But this quarter, I'm serious. I'm gonna keep up on my grading. I'm much more prepared, and I'm gonna hold those due dates. The reason I want you to keep to those due dates is 2 reasons. 1, if you read 1 chapter a week, you're gonna learn more. You're going to learn more from this because you're going to have it in bite-sized chunks, and you're going to be able to apply it to what you know, and it's going to stick in your brain better. If you don't read 1 week, the next week you'll have to read 2 chapters, and you just won't learn as much. Okay, so the reason I want to be strict and tend to be strict this quarter about due dates is I want you to be reading as you go along instead of cramming it in. Okay? What is possible if you find yourself running out of time is if you've read the chapter and you're working on the questions and they're not quite done yet, you could send me a half completed assignment and say, oh, can I have a few more days to finish it? Okay, because that'll tell me you've been working on it along. That I'm willing to work with. But I'm not willing to have you skip a couple weeks of reading and try to cram a bunch of reading in 1 week. You won't learn as much. Okay? So that's why I'm strict on those due dates. Why I'm strict on the discussion board due dates is I want you guys to be having the discussion at the same time as each other. Okay, if you come in 3 weeks after everyone else has had the discussion, it's just not going to be as dynamic for you. And again, you're not going to learn as much. Okay? In addition to the reading reflection assignments and the discussion boards, you have 5 written assignments, and those are kind of spaced out through the quarter. And the instructions will be right in the modules. The instructions will be on Canvas. Those I do accept late. That way, if you've had a couple bad weeks and you've lost some points on reading assignments and discussion boards, then at least there's something I can give you to make up that I'll give you credit for. So keep that in mind. And then your last and then you have 2 more assignments. One is you're going to go out into an early learning setting, a childcare program, a preschool program, an elementary school setting, and you're going to observe in a classroom, and you're going to take notes about what guidance strategies you observed the teacher using. Okay, so we're going to do that toward the end of the quarter. I'm going to give you really specific instructions for the types of guidance strategies I want you to be looking for. And yeah, so don't try to do that now. I want you to wait till toward the end of the quarter, and after we've talked about a bunch of different strategies, so you have a lot of things to look for. Okay, and anyone who needs help setting up an appointment with a school to do an observation, let me know, and I can help hook you up with that. Okay, and then the very last assignment is a final assignment, and you're going to apply the teaching pyramid model. So we're going to talk about the teaching pyramid in depth throughout the course, and you're going to apply that model to a case study of a child who's having a behavior that needs to be changed. Okay, and again, as we get closer, those instructions will be up on how to do that, and that assignment is due finals week. Okay, so that's it. Most of this work can be done in your home, at your computer, at your laptop at midnight or whenever, right? The only thing that really is going to require you some kind of a daytime commitment is the 1 observation in a classroom. Okay? Okay, so a lot of you have taken online classes or hybrid classes with me before, so it's the same model as I do for all my courses. You're going to have a list here, a menu on this side of your screen, the left-hand side of your screen. and you're going to click on modules. That's going to be the best way to navigate through this course is you're going to click on modules. Click on modules. There's one module for each week of the course. So there's 10 weeks of the course and then a finals week. So that's week 11 or module 11 where you're just going to turn in your final assignment. So each week you're going to have these things that we already described. I always start with a begin here page. If you click on the begin here page, it will tell you everything you need to do for the week. The reading assignment, the discussion boards, the written assignment, if there's a written assignment, will all be on there. There may be videos of me talking. So as we get closer to some of the bigger assignments, I'll make sure to put a video of me explaining it. I'll include written directions and I'll include verbal directions. So that depending on maybe if you have both, it'll be clear what I want. So watch those videos. Yeah, so that's how you're going to work through. Go ahead and do it in the order that I've put it. I always recommend in online courses that you work ahead. And that's so that if you get sick, if your kids get sick, if you have some sort of a family emergency, you've worked ahead so that if each week you're doing the assignments that are due next week, if then you have a week where you're sick, you don't have to do any assignments, right? And then you haven't fallen behind, you haven't missed any points. So as much as you can, I encourage you to work ahead. It's a little bit of a challenge because I have not written the entire course yet, but I will do my best to stay 2 weeks ahead of you, okay? When you're viewing this video, there's at least 3 modules up, and my goal is to post 1 to 2 modules every single week so at a certain point the course is all completed, and so that you can always move through as fast as you want to. So that's my best recommendation is to just these early weeks where your other classes are a little bit light, just get as much of this work done as you can, and then so that way if something comes up, you have a little bit more wiggle room and you don't miss the due dates. Okay, that's it. So I think I didn't even say my name at the beginning. I just assumed you all know me, but I know I don't know all of you. So my name is Alexis Myers. I'm a faculty member here at Skagit. My background is in childcare. So I was a family childcare provider for 7 years. I had my own family childcare program. And prior to that, I worked in childcare centers with infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. So my behavior management skills have come from working in childcare programs. The most that I learned about behavior management or guiding behavior was when I was a family childcare provider. And that's because I was all alone in my house with a group full of kids, sometimes up to 8 kids. And there's nothing that there's nothing that had ever required my skill in managing a group of children until I was absolutely all alone with them, and their safety rested in my hands. And I would take them to the park by myself, and we'd go outside, and I lived on a busy road, so if they opened the door and ran out, it would be like a disaster. So I had to get really clear about what I wanted them to do, communicate it to them clearly, so that they knew that they were safe and so that they knew not to push my boundaries, because there would be consequences for that. I also had the opportunity to get to know them really well and knew what made them tick. They knew I cared about them, and so for the most part, they were interested in complying with what I wanted them to do because they knew that I cared about them. So yeah, that was a boot camp in behavior management, is being home alone with 8 kids. So, okay, so that is my background. I look forward to interacting with you this quarter. If you have any questions, email me, call me. You can come to my office. I'm in Nelson 202. I'll be in my office a lot this quarter, mainly in the afternoons. I'll be in my office, so you're welcome to come see me. Wednesdays is my office hours day, so I will always be there from 12:30 to 5:30 on Wednesdays. So come see me if you need any help. And that's it. I look forward to your participation. One strength in not having the course written already is that I can still shape it. So if you have burning questions about certain types of behavior, certain ages of kids, certain types of settings, email me and let me know, and I'll figure out how to work it into the course, because I definitely want you to walk away with the knowledge that you wanted to get out of this course. Okay, have a great quarter, and see you later.